근데 결국엔 그 천국에서도 사람들이 모이면 또 시기 질투하고
맞아요.
싸우고
네.
그렇게 감독들은 표현을 되게 많이 하더라고요.
네.
근데 하나같이 그러니까 캐릭터랑 그런 배경들만 다르지 감독들이 보는 눈들은 약간 다.
그리고 지금도 그 마키아벨리의 그 아이디어는 되게 영향을 많이 미치고 있어요. 예를 들어서 저는 퍼스널리 보면은 예를 들어서 제가 실제로 좋은 사람은 아니지만 어쨌든 김남진이가 좋은 사람이야. 아주 도덕적이고 진실한 사람이에요. 그런데 개인적으로 볼 때는 그리고 아주 폭력을 싫어하고 예. 그리고 기회만 되면 다른 사람하고 어울려서 행복하게 평화롭게 지내고 싶어요. 근데 내가 대통령이 됐어요. 그러면은 내가 가지고 있던 퍼스널 도덕관념을 버려야 되는 거예요. 그게 마키아벨리의 주장이에요.
거기까지
왜냐?
모르겠어요.
국가의 이익을 위해서.
또 바뀌는구나.
예, 국가의 이익을 나는 비록 나의 개인적인 퍼스널 그 캐릭터라든지 그런 것들을 가지고 있잖아요. 도덕관념, 뭐 생각들. 근데 지도자가 되었을 때는 그 국가가 원하는 예를 들어서 그러니까 제가 박정희 대통령을 예를 든 거는 박정희 대통령 좋은 사람이라 이게 아니라 박정희 대통령 그 시대 때는 어쨌든 못 먹고 못 사니까 배라도 굶지 말고 우리도 빨리 다른 나라처럼 경제 부흥을 일으켜서 잘 사는 나라가 돼. 그게 목표였잖아요. 그 목표를 가기 위해서 박정희 대통령은 폭력을 쓴 거예요. 자기에게 반대하는 뭐 민주투사라든지 그런 사람들을 오게 가지고 죽이고. 그게 마키아벨리 입장에서는 좋은 지도자였다는 거예요.
저도 선생님처럼 좋고 나쁘게 따지는 건 아니지만
예. 그래서 우리가
그렇지 않았으면 이득을 볼 수 없잖아요.
그렇죠. 우리가 그런 것들을 통해서 배우는 거죠. 네. 그런 역사적으로 일어났던 사건들. 네. 오케이. Okay. Let's keep continuing. Study about basic politics. Last week we were talking about a little bit of Machiavelli Prince. That is all about political pragmatism. In other words, for the purpose of the state security, the leader should be abandon their personal morality to achieve their goal. The Machiavelli suggests that the virtue should be adaptable for a person to become the leader of the state. That is point of Machiavelli's idea, political theory. Okay, let's see. So, Machiavelli also advises the rulers, they should be pragmatic and then flexible. And then also they should adopt their strategy. Strategy means the way, the method to rule the state, the country. So they need to sometimes change their strategy for the common goods, the needs of the states. Also, he separates the personal ethics when the leader do their the duties and the work for the state. They should use different the leaders sometimes they must act against their personal values to achieve their goal and ensure the stability and security and then the needs of their states. That is Machiavelli's idea. Okay, one interesting idea is also fear and love. Machiavelli's idea. I think fear and love. I think I print. Okay. In perspective of Machiavelli's political idea, the leader should have impression for the people to be feared than loved. Okay, this is simple. Okay, let's say I'm the president. Okay, any kind of country. Okay, I have to have kind of impression for the people when the citizens see my the actions or activities for the in the political matter, it is better. People get more fear about myself rather than be loved. Okay, most people, 99% of people love me because I am a president, right? But kind of that is important. But more important thing is you should have kind of impression. 99% of the citizens, they should have more feeling of fear than love because it is easy to control the people. What do you think?
근데 더 좋아지는 것 같아 마키아벨리가. 네.
Okay, 모든 사람은 I
공감해서.
cannot love everybody, right? But I love everybody. But when you are leader, you should use some kind of fear. That sometimes that works better than give, love to the people. That's the only method of way. Okay. Don't become. It's not like you become bad person or something like that.
왜냐면 두려움이 없으면
Day
안 따라가요.
day one.
맞아요.
So also when we see a policeman, okay, they serve for citizens, they help us, right? But also at the same time, when I drive and stop at the stops, the intersection, police car stops right next to me. I don't know, I didn't do anything wrong, but I kind of have feeling, afraid of, what if they wanna stop me and check my car, right? So that is important. Okay, now we wanna talk totally different idea. Okay, now. Okay, this idea is developed near 17th century. 17th century means, in Western culture, 12th, maybe 13th century to 17th century, for 500 or 600 years. Have you heard of Renaissance? Renaissance. In Korean, there's 문예부흥기. At that time, there are many changes. Economic developed, people see the true world. Also, many people think different from the church think. Okay, because the Copernicus, like science and universe, Copernicus was the person in that time. Okay, 17th, 16th century. Okay, he was pastor in church, Catholic church. In his religious interest, religious interest about the world, okay? So he discovered the world, the real world, the physical world works differently from what the church says. Also, like Galileo saying. So there was many scientific, natural discoveries, and then there are many. And that time, you heard of Immanuel Hegel, also Kant. Those are great philosophers came from this time. Yeah. So that means the society, the nation was changed. Really a lot of dramatic changes happened at that time. Yeah. So also the idea for the politics came differently, and in that time it was okay. Another theory we call social contract theory. Social contract theory. I think I didn't give the handout. Okay, it is simple. Just remember Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He's French. Okay, those three persons are very famous and important about social contract theory. Okay, Thomas Hobbes says human nature is we are living in the society. That society is showing the conflicts, argument, fighting. That's his point of view of human being. Our nature is conflict. Okay, modern days also we help each other, right? But also at the same time we compete each other, right? So the Thomas Hobbes says, in the state of nature, all individuals are in a constant state, continuing conflict state. We have all conflicts, everybody. That's his point of view. Yeah. So he has made praise that leading to a war of all against all. Everybody has their own conflict with everybody, each other. That's kind of true, right?
네, 맞아요. 진짜요. 엄청나요.
So, to escape this chaos, all individual, we have to have contract to prevent the conflict. That's Thomas Hobbes' idea. So, contract with each other to create sovereign authority. It could be government, leader, right? So that maintains the order, the security. Okay, I'm gonna show you the video about Thomas Hobbes' social contract idea. Okay, interesting.
Imagine a world without
Sound should be.
Imagine a world without rules. Nothing is illegal, nothing is immoral, everyone is absolutely free. This might sound like a utopia to you, but according to 17th century British philosopher Thomas Hobbes, it would actually be your worst nightmare. Hobbes called this hypothetical time, with no rules to govern our behavior, the state of nature, and he described life there as solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. And he was probably right. The land of do as you please sounds great until you realize that everyone else is also doing as they please. That's when you find out you have an abundance of freedom, but you do not have any security. Because when everyone's constantly watching their backs, whoever is the biggest bully will be able to dominate, simply by fear and aggression. And even if you happen to be the biggest bully, life's not going to be any better, because when enough weaker bullies get together, even the strongest can be overthrown. So this type of system, a sort of anti-system without rules and without order, is a terrible way to live. And Hobbes pointed out that rational people would want to...
So his first opinion, without the rule, without the order, it is really hard to live in a society, right? Yeah, that's true.
The system. They trade in some of their natural freedoms in exchange for the security offered by civil society. The key to saving the world from chaos, he said, was a contract. Hobbes didn't think there was anything deeply real about morality. It's not written in the stars or waiting to be discovered by reason or handed to us on stone tablets by the divine. Morality, he believed, is not primitive or natural. Instead, Hobbes proposed, anytime you get a group of free, self-interested, rational individuals living together, morality will just emerge. Because free, rational, self-interested people realize that there are more benefits to be found in cooperating than in not cooperating. Like, say I have an avocado tree growing outside of my house. I consider it mine, and I can take all the avocados I want from it. You have a mango tree, and you can take all the mangoes you want. But sometimes avocado havers grow tired of avocados, and mango havers grow tired of mangoes. This might actually be a bad example, because is there any such thing as too much guacamole? But sometimes you just really want a mango smoothie. And in the state of nature, where there are no rules, the only way for me to get a mango is to steal it. And the same goes for you and my avocados. So we found ourselves living in a world where we steal from each other, which means that both of us are always on edge, and we see each other as enemies. So remember, we're rational, so we find a better way. We make an agreement. We promise not to steal from each other, and we promise to trade avocados for mangoes. Now we have more security and a more interesting diet. What we have created is a contract, a shared agreement, and suddenly morality is born. This view, espoused by Hobbes and followed by many today, is known as contractarianism. Contractarians say that right acts are those that do not violate the free, rational agreements that we've made. And we make these agreements because we think they'll make our lives better. So basically, we trade in some freedom for the benefits that come out of cooperative living. Avocado for mango contracts are pretty straightforward. We both want something, and we make an explicit contract that we both believe will result in us better off.
So you saw the avocado and mango trade, right? Yeah. So yeah, that is contract, social contract. That's the main idea. So we have to I cannot use 100% freedom, right? Because everybody use their 100% freedom. There are gonna be many lot of violence, right? So we have to sacrifice our own freedom for the security of whole society. Yeah, that is the idea of social contract. Okay, another. Okay, oh, we did. Okay, we did. Okay, another person that is for John Locke. He wrote a second period of government. He proposed the idea of social contract, that is agreement, kind of, contract, agreement to form the government. So that protects, so we agree, okay, everybody agree, yeah, we need government, so let's make the government, because government protects us, our own rights, right? Life, physical security, our property. Yeah. That is John Locke's idea. Agreement, everybody has agreed to make the government, that government work for the people, people's interest, people's physical security, people's personal property. And then also John Locke says he believed that people should have also right to change the government in his second theory of government. That is people's right to change the government. Okay, another, the most important person, so another person we see is the last one, John Jacques Rousseau. In his social contract, he argued that individuals, all the people, citizens, they can achieve their true freedom by participating in the formation of general will, and then agree to follow, respect the law. So he has kind of emphasis on about government and officials, and then the big emphasis on about the law. Okay, we have to have law. So everybody agree to respect, obey the law. That is another social contract. These are all for the purpose of general will. The most people's need, most people's desire, that is general will. Okay, now time changed. Okay, the most important two philosophers, still they have big influence to modern days. The first one, Adam Smith. He has a huge impact on modern economical system. Okay. Also another person, that is Karl Marx. he also has a huge impact on modern economical system. So now we're gonna focus more on those two philosopher economists. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna give you a handout. That is first Adam Smith. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna read. Okay. Okay, Adam Smith, 1723, 1790, Scottish economist and philosopher. He is widely regarded as the father of modern economy. Okay, he is the father of modern economy. His political theory is primarily expressed through his economic ideas. His economic idea is outlined in his most famous book. Adam Smith, his most famous book is what? The Wealth of Nations. That is, I think, it is in Korean 국부론. You guys may have heard of it. Okay? So, Smith's key contribution to political theory that is including laissez-faire economics. Laissez-faire economics, it is like in another word in Korean, 자유방임 경제주의. Okay, that means Smith argued for minimum, reduced, limited government intervention in economic affairs. That is advocating that free market, okay? Okay, government, wait, government, you guys don't get involved in good trade. Whatever economic activity, don't get involved in. Okay, you guys stop saying do this, do that. That is free market. So driven by self-interest, naturally lead to economic prosperity. So this concept laid the foundation of the idea of laissez-faire capitalism. He is founder of capitalism. Okay, Adam Smith. So where market forces should operate freely, no obligation, without any excessive government regulation. So his idea is no government regulation is applied to free market. That is his idea. Also, in invisible hand, he says that phrase is invisible hand means suggests that individuals he viewed human nature are seeking self-interest beings. So invisible hand means all individuals seeking their own self-interest. Is it true? Right? Yeah. I'm looking for my own self-interest. True. And that is okay. Okay. Right here, the word inadvertently means without the purpose. Okay, without the reason. The word where is inadvertently means no purpose, without the reason. Okay, let's say I have interest in painting, right? I don't care about the money, all right? Or my only interest is painting, picture. Okay, someday another example. My interest is like, wood crafting, okay? I don't care about the money, all right? I cut the tree, I trim the wooden part, and I make the chair, I make, the tables, right? That's my only interest. But one day, some guy passed through my, yard, and he saw my chair and then table. He said, your chair is really good. It is stable. You're making really good chair. Okay? Then he offered me, can you sell that chair to me? Okay? Yeah, okay. I just want, fair market value. So I got, let's say $50. I don't support, I don't have any, interest on money, but the way I like about making wooden crafts, that is my only interest. But without purpose, I'm doing my things to fulfill my potential, right? That contributes part of economies. You guys understand? I don't do any economics, but my interest by making the chairs and tables, and that somebody has interest about my chairs and tables, he pays me. That is, my interest is becoming part of economy. That is invisible hand. Understand, right? So, invisible hand. So that is contributing to the greater good of society. Everybody has their own interest. They just fulfill their interest. That is part of huge economies. That is invisible hand. So by pursuing personal gain, right? My personal interest, I don't care the society, I just do what I like. That's it. Yeah. So people contribute to the efficient allocation of resources in a free market. That is Adam Smith's idea. Also, he goes more division of labor. Smith stressed the importance of specialization and the division of labor in boosting more productivity. Let's say I have only self-interest about wooden work, right? But some guy suggests me, hey Peter, you really have good hand about wooden craft. Okay, I'm gonna rent you a big place. Okay, I wanna support you. I wanna pay you more. So you can do focusing on more good wooden products, right? Yeah, that is division of labor. So that becomes more professional. Okay, also the role of government. Although Smith has his highest value on free market, he believed in a limited but essential role for government. Free market means 0% government regulation, 0% government involvement in free market, okay? There should be regulation in free market, but it should be limited, minimum, okay? So according to him, the state should provide public goods like defense, justice, and infrastructure. Does it make sense, right? Yeah. Government should do, okay, I have many customers about my wooden, works, right? So government suggests me, okay, your neighborhood street is too crowded because the street is too narrow. Okay, so government suggests I'm gonna widen, I'm gonna build like transportation stations, right? Because there should be many trucks going in and out in my place, right? So that is what the government do for the free market. That is limited regulation. And then also here, Adam Smith work, moral sentiments. In earlier work, the theory of modern sentiments, Smith explored the role of ethics in human behavior too. He argued while people act out of their self-interest, right? They are also, at the same time, they are guided by sympathy, sense of fairness. What do you think? Is it true? Sense of sympathy means everybody has some degree of, a pity on something, right? When people have trouble, I feel kind of, a sympathy. There is, in another word, I have pity on somebody, right? Kind of sorry feelings, a little bit of sad feelings about someone's difficulties, whatever, right? Or hard times, right? So that is natural for all the people. Even though we pursue 100% my self-interest, but at the same time, in our mind, we have also a little bit of sympathy and the sense of fairness. So, okay, in this room, we have only, 4 people working for making wooden products, right? But I'm the boss. I make the most of the money, but I give you only minimum wage, right? That means I pursue my own interest, but in my mind I also have, this is not fair. That's the human nature. They don't want to show, right? But they have feeling of, this is not right. Yeah. So that is very, very important. He studied really, really a lot about that times. This time is about Industrial Revolution. So he argued, so people have sympathy and sense of fairness, okay? So this ethical foundation is underpinned. That is That's a moral foundation. You see, you pursue your self-interest, but also you have to have sympathy about others and fairness among the people. That is a foundation of free market. Make sense? Yeah. So he suggests market require moral framework of function properly. Yeah. Free market means not 100% free market. Without the rule, without your morality, right? Okay, free market. I sell juice, right? Free market means, okay, I advertise 100% orange juice. But that's not true. In my kitchen, I mix with 50% of water, and then I put some sugar. Yeah. So that's not right, even though we do in free market. Because I have fairness in my mind, and then sympathy. There should be foundation of free market. Is it a good idea? What do you think? Right? Less government involvement. Free market. Everybody do what they want to do. They contribute. Their activity is contribute to poor economics. So moral foundation should be fairness, sympathy. I think that's a good idea. But in reality, it doesn't work right. Right? It doesn't work like this. So, next, the most important person, okay, Adam Smith, okay, briefly. So his political theory, his idea has big influence about economic idea. His most famous book was World of Nations. Also another idea of his economic is laissez-faire economics. That is this one. 자유방임주의 경제. In Chinese, yeah, you know that, yeah. That's the main idea of Adam Smith. Okay. Also, invisible hand, we talked about it. Okay, we contribute, we fulfill our self-interest that is contributing to the big economy. There's also division of labor. It is about professionalism. Okay, then Smith. Okay, limited government role. Government limited regulation. Less involvement of government. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna go with Marxism. Last time I gave you a handout only about series of stages, right? Karl Marx. Series of stages, Karl Marx. Also, did I give you Marxism theory? Marxism theory. Okay, you got it. Marxism theory, you have? Marxism theory. Oh, same. Okay. You have Marxism theory? Adam Smith. Oh, okay, Adam Smith, you have, okay, right, this one. Okay, you got it, okay. So first, modern days still there are big influence of Adam Smith, and another person is Karl Marx. Okay, let's read together. Okay, Hanjin, can you read first paragraph of Marxism theory?
Marxism theory is a political, economic, and social philosophy developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in the 19th century.
Okay.
It focuses on the struggles between social classes, particularly between the bourgeoisie,
Bourgeoisie. That's French,
bourgeoisie, bourgeoisie, capitalist classes, and the proletariat.
Proletariat, yeah.
Proletariat, a working class. Here are the core concepts.
Okay, and Eric, right? Next. Yeah.
Historical materialism, Marxism view history as a series of class struggles and change driven by material conditions, specifically economic factors. According to this view, the mode of production, how goods are produced and distributed, shapes society structure, politics, and culture.
Okay, thank you. Miss Hong, can you? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Class struggle. Central to Marxism thought is the idea that the society is divided into classes with opposing interests. In a capitalist system, the bourgeoisie owns the means of production. That's capitalist. They have all production lines, right? Money and factories, transportation, while the proletarian sells only their labor, right? So the exploitation of a worker leads to tension and conflict. And then, okay, next, surplus value. Panjin, can you read?
Surplus value and exploitation. Marx argued that in capitalism, the value of goods produced by workers exceeds the wage they are paid, with the difference surplus value going to be capitalized as profit. This is seen as exploitation of labor.
Okay. Eric? Yeah. Next, alienation.
Alienation.
Mhm.
Marx believed that workers are alienated under capitalism because they do not control the means of productions or the product of their labor. This led to a loss of identity and purpose.
Okay. Okay, then I'm gonna read last two paragraphs. Revolution. So Marx predicted the class struggle would eventually lead to a proletarian overthrowing the bourgeoisie in a revolution. But his prediction was failed. Was not true. It didn't happen that way. Okay? In history, there are many communist revolutions, but it was done by differently than he predicted. Okay? So, communist society where the means of production are collectively owned, class distinctions are eliminated. So, bourgeoisie in revolution, abolishing capitalism and establishing the classless, stateless society. That's communism. And communism, the ultimate goal of Marxism is communist society where the means of productions are collectively owned, everybody has owner of manufacture. Okay, yeah. And class distinctions are eliminated, and wealth is distributed according to the need, then the profit. Marxism has the profound influence of political movement, labor right, social theory, especially in 20th century with the rise of socialist communist states. Okay, he has big influence of a socialist and communist states. But I think both revolution and communism, what do you think the idea of communism? Is it really good idea? Communism?
취향이에요, 취향.
When I was young, when I was 20, it was a really, really good idea. Yeah, everybody's, boss, right? Everybody has title on something. We share, equally. Wow, that's a really good idea. But it's not working that way.
아무것도 안 만들지 않을까?
No. Yes, that's true. That's why. Yeah.
이득이 돼야 자기 뭘 행동하는
Right. Okay, in here, 4 people, we have equal interest about our factory, right? 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. Everybody's owner. But basically human nature, we have a little different interest, right? Okay, sometimes I work 5 hours. You work 10 hours, right? Then people start complaining each other, right? That's the nature, yeah. So I don't think it works like that way. But we have to know that there should be problem. Why this idea should be still, influencing. Okay, let's say, since industrial revolution, there are many manufacturers, factories built, and then many big capitalist economies were flourished in Europe, right? Also in America. Let's say I'm the boss, right? Example, I'm the boss, I'm the capitalist. I own 100% of factory. Okay, you guys work for me, you guys work for me. Okay. The factory is making television. Alright? Television. I pay you guys only minimum wage. Right? I have all the profit, that is all mine. I have a lot of money, I make a lot of money by making television. Okay? Let's say I give you just 1 month's wage. The problem, the beginning of the capitalism, the problem was this one. Okay, you make TV, but the problem is you cannot buy the TV with that minimum wage. Is it true? Let's say you cannot buy because to make the profit, making the television, I'm the capitalist. Okay, I have to put the profit, the selling price of the TV, right? There's a cost, a minimum cost of making the television, right? But I put profit. Then the profit is always goes to where? To me only. Not distributed to the workers, right? So that's the situation when the capitalism was started. So there should be conflict. And then also personally, In that situation, can you do work hard? No, you just kill the time, right? You don't work hard because all the profit goes to me only. Yeah. So also the capitalism is also another problem. So you don't work. There's no innovation. There's no creation. Is it true? Because you don't get paid. Yeah.
돈이 진짜 중요하네요.
So people try to think. Okay, let's go watch one more video of Adam Smith. Okay, Adam Smith. Yeah. I mean, the father of capitalism.
Adam Smith is our guide to perhaps the most pressing dilemma of our time: how to make a capitalist economy more humane and more meaningful. He was born in Scotland in Kirkcaldy, a small manufacturing town near Edinburgh, in 1723. He was a hard-working student and very close to his mother. He then became an academic philosopher, wrote a major book about the importance of sympathy, and lectured on logic and aesthetics. He was also one of the greatest thinkers in the history of economics, in part because his concerns went far beyond the economic. He wanted to understand the money system because his underlying ambition was to make nations and people happier. Smith remains an invaluable guide to four ideas. When one considers the modern world of work, two facts stand out. Modern economies produce unprecedented amounts of wealth, and many ordinary people find work rather boring and, as he complained, meaningless. The two phenomena are in fact intimately related, as Adam Smith was the first to understand through his theory of specialization. He observed that in modern businesses, tasks formerly done by one person in a single day could far more profitably be split into many tasks carried out by multiple people over whole careers. Smith hailed this as a momentous development. He predicted that national economies would become hugely richer the more specialised their workforces became. One sign our world is now so rich, Smith could tell us, is that every time we meet a stranger at a party, we're unlikely to understand what they do. The mania for incomprehensible job titles like logistics supply manager, packaging coordinator, or communications and learning officer prove the economic logic of Smith's insight. But there is one special problem with specialisation: meaning. When businesses are small and their processes contained, a sense of helping others is readily available. But when everything is industrialised, one ends up as a tiny cog in a gigantic machine whose overall logic is liable to be absent from the minds of people lower down in the organisation. A company with 150,000 employees distributed across 4 continents, making things that take 5 years from conception to delivery, will struggle to maintain any sense of purpose or cohesion. So Smith discerned that bosses of the specialised corporations of modernity have an extra responsibility to their workers, to remind them of their purpose, role, and ultimate dignity of their labour. Smith's age saw the development of what we now call consumer capitalism. Manufacturers began turning out luxury goods for a broadening middle class. Some commentators were appalled. The philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau wished to ban luxury from his native Geneva. He was a particular fan of ancient Sparta and argued that his city should copy its austere martial lifestyle. Disagreeing violently, Smith pointed out to the Swiss philosopher that luxury consumerism in fact had a very serious role to play in a good society.
Yeah, he's kind of idealist, Adam Smith. He got a lot of influence from Greek philosophers.
It generated the surplus wealth that allowed societies to look after their weakest members. Consumer societies, despite their frivolity, didn't let young children in the old starve, for they could afford hospitals and poor relief. So Smith defended consumer capitalism on the basis that it did more good for the poor than societies devoted to high ideals. That said, Smith held out some fascinating hopes for the future of capitalism. He didn't want it to stay stuck at the frivolous level forever. He observed that humans have many higher needs that currently lie outside of capitalist enterprise. Among them our need for emotional education, for self-understanding, for beautiful cities, and for rewarding social lives. The hope for the future is that we'll learn to generate sizable profits from helping people in truly important, ambitious
I think
ways.
we should do
Properly
next
developed
week.
capitalism should service our basic material needs while exciting us to buy frivolous things.
Next.
It should make money from goods and services that deliver true fulfillment. Then, as now, the great question was how to get the rich to behave well towards the rest of society. The Christian answer to this was, make them feel guilty. Meanwhile, the radical left-wing answer was, then and now, raise taxes. But Smith disagreed with both approaches. The hearts of the rich were likely to remain cold, and high taxes would simply lead the rich to flee the country. He proposed that, contrary to what one might expect, it isn't money that the rich really care about. It's honour and respect. The rich accumulate money, not because they're materially greedy, but primarily in order to be liked and approved of. So rather than taxing the rich, governments should understand the vanity of the heart of the rich and their motivations. They should therefore give the rich plenty of honours and status in return for doing all the good things that these narcissists wouldn't normally bother with, like funding schools and hospitals and paying their workers well. As Smith put it, the great secret of education is to direct vanity to proper objects. Big corporations.
Okay, let's see, go over a little bit more of Adam Smith idea, okay? Free market. Okay, since I made wooden product, right? My product is really, really good. Then first, I didn't have that kind of mind. Okay, somebody want to have my chairs, tables, right? So he asked me to sell that products. So I wanted fair market. Okay, well, just give me $50, right? That's it. But later, there should be more demand. What do you think? Oh, hold on. Before, it was only, one people needed my product. Now, 100 people needed my product. Hold on. Let's say, I want to have $200. Is it true? If you give me $200, I want to sell it. Because demand is high, right? That is free market.
Oh, sure.
It is still happening nowadays too, right? Also, because some people have a lot of the money. When the autumn ends, he collects all the rices, fruits, and store in huge refuge, right? Then next year, the season was really bad. A lot of rains, no sunshine. So all the agriculture was collapsed. Then okay, I want to sell the apple like double, triple the price. That's true. Right? That's the problem of free market. Adam Smith idea. Idea is really good, but me, why I don't sell more than money I need, right? Because there are many demands. That's the people's mind. Everybody's saying. Yeah. So, people, we have also good mind in ourselves. Also, in another part, we have greedy mind, right? I want more. Yeah. So, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. So, we're gonna, okay, next, okay, a little bit of I explained a communist. Next week we're gonna do this. Okay, just prepare to read. Okay, so people think there's also problem about free market, capitalism. There's also another. We also get the benefit from, capitalism. But at the same time, there are a lot of bad aspects of capitalism. Also, some people think, okay, communism, okay, that is really, really good idea. But in reality, it doesn't work like that, right? Even a communist country, socialist country, they don't practice in Marxist idea, right? Yeah. So some people think, what about we can mix both ideas together? Good things about capitalism, good things about communism. Is it possible? Some people can think that way, right? Yeah, that is social democratic theory. Simple. It is political, social, economic philosophy. That is boundary, framework of good capitalism, okay? Not communism. They still hold the good aspect of capitalism. And then at the same time, they are more focusing on social justice. What is social justice? Okay, free market. I want to sell my product double the price, regular price, right? Then government says, oh, Peter, you cannot do this. Yeah. Because to get my product, some people has to make money so hard to buy my products, right? That is social justice. That is not right, government says. So, here, right, free market capitalism. Good aspect of free market capitalism, and government has influence, regulation, more on the problem of social inequality, and then social welfare. What about some people? I don't get educated because I don't have good brain, okay? I'm not good at studying, right? Some people. And then also I don't have any skills because it is really hard to learn any kind of technical skills, right? So what about that people? Do we have to take care of them or not? Yes, that is, social democratic theory. Yeah. So next week, we're gonna go over more, So a little bit more of Marx's idea. I think we should. Okay. Okay, I think I skipped video. Okay, here, one video of Karl Marx. Yeah, play.
You've probably heard of Karl Marx. He's remembered as the father of divisive political movements, and his name is still sometimes thrown around in American politics as a kind of slur. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about Marx the philosopher. Marx the scholar. In the 19th century, a time defined by radical inequality and rapid technological...
He's rather economist, philosopher, okay, than revolutionist.
Political change in Europe. Marx was concerned with one question. What does it mean to be free? Starting from this question, Marx developed an entire theory of history, and in doing so, he laid the foundation for the paradigm of conflict theory in sociology, ultimately pushing the discipline to look at questions of power, inequality, and how these things can drive societal change. If Durkheim was concerned with social solidarity, with how society hangs together, Marx was concerned with freedom. The question that Marx asked was, how can people be free? Because humans aren't just naturally free. When you think about it, we're actually incredibly constrained. Our physical bodies have all kinds of needs we have to meet in order to survive, and they're needs that we're not really adapted to meet. Like, if you take a hummingbird and put it in the middle of a forest somewhere, it'll just go on about its day, collecting nectar and living its life. But if you drop a person in the middle of the woods, they'll probably starve. Compared to other animals, Marx thought, we're incredibly poorly adapted to the natural world. In fact, the only way for us to survive in nature is to change it, working together to remake it to fit our needs. This is labor, he said, and we must labor cooperatively in order to survive. As we labor, we change the world around us and gradually free ourselves from our natural constraints. But what Marx saw was that just as we freed ourselves from these natural constraints, we entangled ourselves in new social constraints. Let's go to the thought bubble to explore this some more. Think about it like this. 10,000 years ago, basically everybody spent all day trying to get food. In this primitive...
This is the idea of stage of the Marxist, right? Last week, series of stages. She's talking about.
As Marx called it, people were strongly bound by natural constraints, but socially very equal. Now compare that to the Middle Ages, when under feudalism you have an
Feudalism, we talked about it, right? Last
who
week.
never spent any time worrying about where their next meal would come from. But you also have the peasantry, who still were constantly making food. In fact, they spent a lot of their time making food for the nobility. People were producing more than they needed to survive, but instead of that surplus being equally distributed, society was set up so that some people simply didn't need to labor at all, while others had...
That is kind of, a system of feudalism too. Many peasant farmers, they work, but they, struggle to survive. Because all the wealth goes to the owner of the
That's
land,
not a natural
right?
constraint anymore. That's a social one. Working together allowed us to transcend our natural constraints, Marx argued, but the way labor is organized leads to massive inequalities. Thanks, thought bubble. So, central to the question of freedom for Marx is the question of labor, how it's organized and who it benefits, and how this organization changes over time. This focus on labor gave rise to the perspective created by Marx and his longtime collaborator, Friedrich Engels, a perspective known as historical materialism. Historical materialism is historical because it looks at change over time, and it's materialism because it's concerned with these questions of material reality. That is, how production is organized and who has things like food or money and who doesn't. Now, it's not that Marx didn't care about other things like politics or religion, but he felt that they were secondary to the production and control of resources. And I don't mean secondary as in less important. I mean secondary because he thought that if you wanted to understand those things, you had to understand the material reality they were based on first. In this view, the economy, that is the organization of labor and resources in a society, was the foundation. And everything else, politics, culture, religion, even families, was what Marx called the superstructure, which was built on top of material reality. So when Marx studied history, he didn't focus on wars and power struggles between states.
Okay. Marx think the society, the organization structure of society, let's say a common society, political systems, court systems, government systems, right? In Karl Marx's idea, the structure is based on what? Economic system. Historical materialism. Okay, free market is economic system. The government is based on that system. Government is owned by who? Capitalists, right? Yes. So communist country, socialist country, in theoretically, socialist country system, that economic system build structure. The structure is owned by who? Citizens, right? But the problem is that does not work that way. Yeah. So what he's saying is the economic system base is foundation of social structure. government structure. Yeah. Because to make economic system run well, work properly, so government should support that economic systems. That's Karl Marx's idea.
Instead, he saw historical development in terms of modes of production and economic classes. Now, modes of production might sound like they're about how stuff is made, but Marx understood them as stages of history. Primitive communism, feudalism, and capitalism are all modes of production, and modes of production are all defined by a combination of forces of production and relations of production. Forces of production are basically the technical, scientific, and material parts of the economy. Tools, buildings, material resources, technology, and the human labor that makes them go. In modern capitalism, the forces of production include things like factories, oil, and the internal combustion engine, but they also include cultural or social technologies, like the idea of the assembly line and mass production. The relations of production, meanwhile, define how people organize themselves around labor. Do people work for wages, or does everyone produce and sell their own goods? How does ownership or property work? Is trade an essential part of the economy? These are all questions about the relations of production. And these questions are important because if you think in terms of social constraints and surplus, the relations of production specify how the surplus is taken from the people who produce it and who gets to decide how the surplus is used. And in capitalism, these relations aren't all that clear-cut. For one thing, we don't have legally defined classes. In feudalism, being a lord or a peasant was a legal matter. If a peasant didn't work, their lord could legally punish them. But under capitalism, there aren't any legal rules about who labors and who doesn't. If you skip work, you don't get tossed in jail, you just get fired. But Marx was a historical materialist, so in his view, even in feudalism, classes weren't really defined by laws. They were actually defined by their place in the relations of production. And when Marx looked at industrial capitalism taking shape around him, he saw two main classes, the working class or proletariat, and the
relation of production means, are you the person who sell your labor? Okay? Or are you the person, you own the money, you own the manufacture? That is a relation to production. Yeah. So,
or the bourgeoisie. The proletariat are defined by the fact that they don't own or control the means of production. That is, the materials you need to use in order to labor and produce goods. One way of thinking about the means of production is as the inanimate part, the actual physical stuff that makes up the forces of production. So this includes everything from the land to stand on while you work to the raw materials you need, like trees and coal and iron ore, to the tools and machines you use. To simplify things dramatically, the proletariat are defined by the fact that while they work in the factories and use resources to make things, they don't own the factories or the things they make. The bourgeoisie are defined by the fact that they do own the factories and the things that are made in them. They control the means of production and the products that come from them. It's this difference in who controls the means of production, Marx said, that leads to exploitation in capitalism in the form of wage labor. If the proletariat lack access to the means of production, he argued, then they only have one thing they can sell, their labor, and they must sell their labor. If they don't, they starve. Now, you might argue that, hey, they're being paid, right? Well, Marx would counter that they're only being paid enough to live on, if barely. However, Marx would also argue that they're being paid less than the worth of what they produce. And it is that difference between the value of the wage and the value of what's produced, which is the source of surplus in capitalism. You know this surplus as profit, and the bourgeoisie get to decide what to do with the profits. Because of this, Marx believed that the bourgeoisie will always be looking to make profits as large as possible, both by driving down wages and by driving up productivity. And this leads to one of the big problems with capitalism, crises, specifically crises of overproduction. Other modes of production had crises too, but they were caused by not having enough. In capitalism, for the first time in history, there were crises of having too much. We reached a point where the forces of production were so developed that we could produce far more than we needed, but the vast majority of people couldn't afford to buy any of it. And so we had crises where the economy collapsed, despite the fact that there was more than enough to go around. Crises of overproduction are an example of what Marx saw in every mode of production, the contradiction between the forces of production and the relations of production. Marx understood history as a series of advances in the forces of production, like greater cooperation among capitalists, more technological complexity, and more organizational innovation. But eventually, he said, those advances always stall as the forces of production run up against the limits created by the relations of production. For example, in the early days of capitalism, the relations of production included things like private ownership of property, competition among capitalists, and wage labor. And these things allowed for explosive economic growth. But eventually, these very same things became limitations on the forces of production. stuff like factories, technology, and human labor. That's because capitalists drove wages down in pursuit of profit, and they competed with each other, leading to a lack of coordination in the economy. So you wound up with a population that couldn't afford to buy anything, while at the same time being offered way more goods than it would ever need. And with the economy in shambles, there's no way for the forces to keep developing. There's no money to invest in new factories or new technologies. So the relations of production that created economic growth became precisely the things that caused crises. Marx saw this as an impasse that all modes of production eventually meet. So how do you get a society to move past it? Marx said the way forward was class conflict. History is a matter of struggling classes, he said, each aligned with either the forces or relations of production. The bourgeoisie are aligned with the relations of production, he said, because these relations are what allow them to extract surplus from the workers. So they're quite happy with the situation as it stands. But the proletariat want change. They want the further development of the forces of production, of which their labor makes up a large part. And they want a complete change in the relations of production. They want an end to exploitation, and they want the surplus to benefit them. After all, it was their labor that created the surplus. In short, they want revolution. And so this is Marx's model of history, a series of modes of production composed of forces and relations of production. These forces and relations develop together until they eventually come into conflict, leading to a revolution by the oppressed class and the institution of a totally new set of relations, where the workers benefit from the efforts of their labor. Plenty of theorists followed in Marx's wake, taking his idea of historical materialism and expanding it to better deal with some of the areas that Marx left out. Particularly interesting here is the work of Italian theorist Antonio.
Okay. That's another story. So the main point is historical materialism. That means who owned the product line, who owned the money. Okay, then who is more a dominant power of the production? In capitalism, the owner, factory owner, the people who has the most money. That's bourgeoisie. And then people just only they can sell their labor to the factory owner, right? And the big problem is they don't get paid to buy the product they made, right? That was first beginning of industrialism. Capitalism. Then